welcome to this episode of Cuss N Discuss. I'm your host, Steve Kutie. Today we have Ginger Duke and Flynn Stewart. So our topic for today will be from Clinton in Arkansas, and they want to know, what do I need to know when selling my horse as far as contracts and marketing? So I think this will be a good one for Flynn, especially because that's what you made your living doing.
Yes.
And we can all put our 2 cents in. So with the internet, I think everything right now is probably 95% internet as opposed to print advertising. Right. I mean, does anybody even do print advertising to sell stuff anymore?
They quit printing the Quarter Horse News.
Right.
So
do they still print the journal?
Yes, they do still. It's not very thick.
Right. I remember when it used to be.
Do. Oh yeah,
thick.
Still do print it.
Yeah.
You see more stud ads versus.
Well, now the Quarter Horse News does still print that stud edition.
Right.
The
stallion issue.
Yeah. Stallion
right.
edition.
Right.
Every fall they print that and send it out, and of course the man that owns the Quarter Horse News also owns the Western Horseman. So my subscription, they just passed it over to Western Horseman, which I don't really like the Western Horseman very good, but anyway.
Right. Well, good job, Flynn. Now they won't be a sponsor. Thanks.
Maybe they'll hire you
to
tell them what they need to change.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, well, let's go down to when we're selling, or when you're selling a horse, what are the key things that you look at doing to get that horse in front of, in front of the public, right? And to make that horse look the best that you can make him look, to get the attention so he stands out in the crowd?
Well, I always, and he's no longer in business, so you can't do so, but I got Don Shugart to take pictures of every horse I ever had, nearly. I'd haul 10 head up there at a time, or he'd come down to my house and take pictures, either one. And he could just make a horse look so good. And as far as what do you need to know, nowadays you need to get x-rays. You probably need to get a genetic test on him if he doesn't already have one, find out what kind of problems he got internally. And as far as making them look good, I just always like to get mine fat and slick. And if I had to put them under lights in the winter and put a blanket on them, I did. And then as far as contracts, the horse I sold for $300,000 to the people in California, he was owned by a fellow down in East Texas. And the guy in East Texas was not a very cooperative guy. And when I called him to see if he'd sell this horse, he said, yeah. But he said, I want $300,000 for him, and said, that don't mean 280, that means 300. And he said he had all of these things he wanted in the contract, sale contract. It was along 1st of November-ish, maybe, and he wanted $75,000 in earnest money, so to know that we were solid. So that we wrote that in the contract. And he had a lot of other things that I didn't think were very important, but he seemed to think they were. And so then, so I headed down there with $75,000 in a cashier's check for the earnest money. And I get about halfway down there, and he calls on my cell phone, and he says, I want this clause taken out of that contract. And he told me which one it was, and I don't remember, but anyway. So I had to stop. I stopped and went in an insurance office and got this one lady to retype that page of the contract and all that stuff. And come to find out, that was one of the clauses that he had wanted in it to start with. So, and I got down to East Texas with the money and got him to sign the contract and came home. The rest, he put in the contract, the rest of the money had to be paid by Thanksgiving. That was just the date he wanted. I don't know why, but that was just, might have just been an arbitrary date. The people in California supposedly wired me the money. But I sat at the bank and waited, and I waited and waited, and it never came in. So I called around and ran everybody down, and they finally got a hold of their bank, and they said, oh yeah, there was a foul up on that, and we'll do it now. They did it Wednesday morning. So about noon Wednesday, I got the money, got the cashier's check. Luckily, this guy was in Graham, Texas at a pre-work for the fraternity, which started the next day. And so I got a hold of him, and he met me at the Green Frog Cafe in Jacksboro, and I gave him his money and got him happy. But he wasn't a very cooperative seller.
I mean, so if we're talking like quality with pictures and X-rays, I mean, I think that's standard stuff, right? I think to get top dollar, gone are the days of just snapping a picture and throwing it up there, right?
These were professional made pictures, yes.
Right. And I mean, what are you looking for on your end?
What I'm selling?
Yes.
I mean, same thing. I have a really good friend and photographer. Her name's Trisha Butler, and I call her up, and she comes out and brings all of her fancy stuff, and she can make a horse look really good too. And then she even prints up my ads for them. So she'll do like a collage, and then my name and my phone number, and then obviously, depending on what kind of horse it is and the X-rays, and
right.
just kind of depends on what kind of a horse it is. Sometimes if someone's interested, then it's at their expense. If I'm big money horse, then I go ahead and just have the X-rays and pre-purchase already there, prepared to hand somebody. Just kind of really depends on the kind of money.
Right.
And then it just goes back to, like, depending on what money you want to invest into it, how much money you want to get out of it.
Well, and I think one of the big things that we're talking about as far as having X-rays and doing a pre-purchase, and I mean, for what it's worth on my end, I mean, generally if the horse is under 10,000, like I don't see the reason to do a big pre-purchase. You know what I mean? Because I mean, if he's showing and he's riding and he's doing, I mean, you're gonna know what he is. And I think, especially being in the performance horse industry, I mean, those horses are athletes. I mean, just like we are, and I'm assuming one day you were.
Yeah.
And but you're gonna have dings and things on you and sore spots and everything like that. So I mean, then I think really all a pre-purchase does is just say, these are the problems or the issues, right, that you can maintain or not, but it always gives the buyer an out, right? Because you can always find something wrong with a horse regardless of whatever it is. So, I mean, it's they either want it or they don't. I mean, would you agree?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, because they're maintenance issues. I mean, that's just what it goes.
I'll tell you a mistake I made one time. I was buying this horse off of a guy, and I wanted to have a pre-purchase on him, so I hauled him down to I think the best vet in this part of the country, and he did everything in the world. He finally told me, he said he's 100%. Oh, well, anyway, I don't remember what he told me. He told me he was fine anyway. But I put in the catalog, when I put him in the sale, that he's 100% sound. I never had him collected. 2 or 3 months later, they called me and said, "Say, we've been trying to breed mares to this horse, and he doesn't have any good semen." But he was a big-jawed, really, really good-looking stud, and you just knew he'd be fertile nearly. Mm-hmm. But they met me at the vets in Wichita Falls and had him collected and checked, and he had not one live sale in his
Oh,
city.
really?
So I gave him half of their money back. He still made money because I gave $7,500 for him, got $25,000. I just gave him $12,500 back. The funny thing about it is they ended up cutting him,
Mm-hmm.
and he won $105,000 at the cutting as a cutting horse.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, 100% sound.
And I just
To me, 100% sound and 100% breeding sound are two different. I don't know.
I
To me,
know.
that's two different things.
But I just
You just
know,
assumed
I
and-
just
yeah.
assumed.
Yeah,
And
But I mean,
I
there
shouldn't
was
have.
no, ill intent. Right? I mean,
No.
you weren't
Yeah.
trying to make over it. I
No,
mean, it was just
no.
just one of the things. Yeah.
but
I mean, it's always that, right? Dotting your I's, crossing the T's. But
Oh, yeah.
inevitably, no matter what we do from the selling it, the prospective buyers are always going to want something that you don't have.
Oh, yeah.
You agree? I mean, because you can have 20 pictures of him with confirmation shots, and they're going to want one more, right? Of his front leg, or they're going to want this or that. So
Yeah.
it's pretty hard. And then, I mean, you're almost to the point of, you have to jump through those hoops if you're selling the high dollar horses to appease everybody,
Sure.
right? So, but I mean, I think as a general rule, if you're going to sell them, it's good to have X-rays, right?
Oh.
Clean or not clean, because at least you had them done.
yes,
And I mean, you're going to end up with probably basic $200 to $300 for X-rays,
Oh, yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
so I mean that's a little bit of money invested in it. Professional pictures that if they come down and do the barn shoot, you've probably got $150 if they're doing a bunch of horses.
well, yeah. Well, this has been 10 years ago or more, but he used to charge me like $300 to come down and take 30 head or
Okay.
10
Yeah.
head.
Okay, well, I mean, just to even say, $100 a horse, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to be in now, say, for $300. And then, I mean, obviously, his feet need done, just the basic maintenance stuff. But,
Okay.
I mean, good feed, good hair coat, good things like that. And the next would be important, right? High quality video.
Yes.
Make sure you get a good video, right?
Yeah.
Like, not a bunch of other horses running around, not a bunch of distractions, not a bunch of clutter. Take the time, put the show tack on them, even if you're not going to show them, right? Good clean saddle pad, good clean tack. Make him look like you care, because that's going to help with the price, right? Because if you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
care and you just put the old work pad on him and your worn out tack, then that's not going to make that. I mean, it's like showing up at the Lamborghini dealership, right? And it's got mud all over the tires,
Yeah.
and the dirt on the windshield. But I mean, I think as far as what I would say, I mean, those are probably the high points of what you would need, because then if you have those boxes checked, then they pretty well market themselves, right? Because
Yeah.
if you're watching on Facebook, you see those YouTube. I mean, those horses that are doing the things that have the cool videos, people are getting it and they're sharing it, so that markets itself.
That's right. That's
And
right.
so I mean, rather than paying hundreds of dollars to have all the stuff, I mean, if you just have the good stuff, people will share it,
Sure.
and they're gonna say, "Hey, look at this horse, and this is what he's doing."
And nowadays, especially in performance horses, they want to see them worked in a round pen where they can see them getting their butt up under them and stopping and rolling back and all of that.
Right,
So we have to have a video of them working in the round pen.
right. Yeah, I mean, and if they're riding, show them riding.
Oh, yeah,
and,
yeah,
and,
yes.
and right. I mean, obviously, it's kind of a bad thing to say, but just say if you're working on lead changes, just show him in the video doing lead changes how he's doing it. Right? Don't leave those out. And
Yeah.
try not to do the thing that you video him loping to the left and you forget to video him loping to the right, and then you put the video out because then everybody thinks something's wrong
Wrong to
the
the
other
right,
way, right?
yeah,
Because you
yeah.
forgot to do it.
That's right.
Make sure you have that little shot sheet and you get all the pieces that you need, so that leaves no question in their mind. So, I mean, I guess that's probably about it, huh? I mean, I hope that
What do you do contracts?
a bill of sale. I mean,
Bill of
because
sale,
like
yeah.
if you come to look at a horse at my place, and you've been around Ginger, so you know kind of how I do it. Like when you show up at my place, like here's the halter. You go catch him out of the stall. You go put him in the cross ties. You go do all that stuff, because I don't want you to say that I had him lope down before you got
Yeah.
there, right? Like, you're going to see what it is, right? And if he's going to want to be a little bit humpy or a little bit cold backed, I'm going to say, look, you can lunge him, you can take him to the round pen. If you can ride well enough, you just get on him. You know, you see what he does, and then you either like it or you don't. Because then that puts me in the safer position, right? Because you have to be, again, like if you forget to shoot the video loping to the other direction, right? Is that if you show up and that thing is on the walker already, and he's got a saddle on him, he's probably got ran down and worked before you got there, right? So there's probably some issues. So I would rather them see what the bad is, because then they know what they're dealing with right from the get-go.
Sure.
And I think that's always made it easier. So that's what I do, and maybe not everybody agrees with it, but it's always worked better for me because you know what you've got. Because if you take him home and you don't ride him for a few days and he's a little bit fresh, and you know, you came to my place and he was tired and poked around, and you know, now you're like, well, he drugged him.
Yeah.
You know, whatever it may be. So, you know, I've never drugged any. You know, we try to stand behind all the deals that we do, but you know, this is what it is. You go catch him, you see how he is in the stall, you see how he acts, and you either like him or you don't. And you're not going to hurt my feelings if you don't like him. You know, but at least you know what he does, right?
Yeah,
because people are going to put up with a lot of things that some other people won't put up with, right? And I always go back to the story. There's a story from I think Ted Robinson, the cow horse guy, right? And he had a mare that won 100 and some thousand in the cow horse, and he could never tie her up. She sat back, broke halters, did all the other stuff. So he used to pay somebody to hold her when he was at shows.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh shit, you know what I mean? She won 100,000. I can afford to pay somebody to hold her. You know what I mean? So people can live with weird stuff.
Yeah.
Not that that's weird, but some people it doesn't bother them. Like if that horse paws or that horse cribs or that horse does this or that. I mean, so you never know. So just put it out there, because some people can live with it. You know, I mean, I've seen deals where, you know, people have done, you know, $100,000 horse and the thing won't pass a vet check, and they're just trying to figure out how to appease everybody so that everybody can live along, because they're like, you know, he just needs maintenance, and you know, we can live with $200 a month maintenance because that's what we want to do.
Sure.
You know, some people don't want to give them, you know, a vitamin, right? So I mean, if you don't want to spend $1 on him, then you probably are not going to spend $300 to keep him sound for you to show.
That's right.
You know, so you just have to go with what makes it work best for you.
So kind of on that subject, you know, I've had people ask if they could have a trial.
Yeah.
Do y'all ever have people ask that?
I mean, I've had it, but you know, you come to my house and you can ride him, but you know, I'm not going to send him home because, you know, Murphy's Law, right? Inevitably, you're going to send him out. Most of mine are not ones that I own, but ones that clients own.
Yeah.
And one, that's a big hurdle to get past, to send a customer's horse out to somebody else. But you don't know what they're going to do with it, and they're not.
That's
I mean,
right.
because you know, they may be looking at him for a reiner, and the next thing you know, they've taken him to a sorting and a team pinning, right? And then went and run barrels on him the night before, and then they send him home and be like, nah, he's too strong, and runs off.
Yeah.
You know, and then you're on the hook for
That's
it.
right.
So I mean, it's way easier that this is just what it is, and you know, he stays here. I mean, if you want to come ride him every day for a few days, I mean, that's no problem with me,
sure.
right? I mean, you can come stay at the hotel in town, come out and ride him. You can watch him work, you can see how he does. I mean, it's easy enough, but yeah, no, I don't let anybody ever take him.
Yeah, no, I don't either. I always feel like it's easier to untrain them than train them. And you know, they untrain them, you get them back, and then you got to retrain them, fix them.
Yeah.
So same thing. You want to come every day and ride them? No problem. But I don't know what your facility looks like. I don't know what your trailer looks like.
Right.
You know, I'm not gonna send a horse with someone that I don't know. And
you always want to say treat him like your own, right? But I mean, I've seen the way people treat some of their own shit, right? So you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be that. And I'm not gonna say that I'm on the high end of you know, keeping stuff like prima donnas, but I mean, there's different levels for everybody, and you know, so yeah, just come and try it. And if you like it, good. If you don't, I mean, that's fine. There's you know, there's different strokes for different folks, as they say, right? There's something for everyone. So I hope that answers all of your questions, and you know, gave you a few ideas. If there's anything that we didn't answer, or you have your own thoughts, or there's a list of things that you want to add to our list, be sure and put it in the comments below, and that way we'll be able to keep track of our list, right? So we can update our list because there may be things that we haven't thought of. But I hope that answers all your questions. So for myself, Flynn, and Ginger, we'll catch you next time.